Welcome back to the English Hub podcast. I'm Anna.
And I'm Alex. Today, we have a special episode for you. We're diving into practical vocabulary for everyday situations.
That's right. Whether you're shopping, dining out, or simply having a casual conversation, the right vocabulary can make a big difference.
So, let's get started. Segment 1. Shopping.
Let's start with a common situation, shopping. Whether you're buying groceries or clothes, having the right words can really help.
Absolutely. For example, knowing phrases like, "How much does this cost?" or "Do you have this in a different size?" can be very useful.
Yes, and don't forget about vocabulary related to payments, like credit card, cash, receipt, and refund.
And if you're in a grocery store, terms like aisle, checkout, cart, and barcode are essential.
Alex, have you ever had a funny shopping experience because of a language mix-up?
Oh, definitely. Once, I was trying to buy bread in a foreign country and ended up with a whole cake because I didn't know the right word. It was hilarious, but also a bit embarrassing.
That's a good reminder to practice these terms before you go shopping. It can save you from unexpected surprises.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Most people are happy to assist if you're trying to learn their language.
Exactly. Another helpful tip is to familiarize yourself with common phrases for returns and exchanges. Like, "Can I return this if it doesn't fit?" Or, "I'd like to exchange this for a different size."
Yes. And when you're in a different country, it's also useful to know the local terms for sizes and measurements. For example, knowing that sizes can vary greatly between countries.
That's a great point, Alex. Understanding these differences can make shopping much easier and less confusing.
And let's not forget about online shopping. Phrases like add to cart, checkout, and delivery options are very useful.
Absolutely. And knowing how to read product descriptions and reviews can help you make better purchasing decisions.
Another important aspect is understanding the different types of stores. For example, knowing the difference between a supermarket, a convenience store, and a department store can be very helpful.
Yes, and knowing how to ask for specific items is crucial too. Phrases like, "Where can I find the dairy section?" or "Do you sell batteries?"
Anna, have you ever had trouble finding something specific in a store because of a language barrier?
Oh, absolutely. I remember once I was looking for baking soda but ended up in the baking aisle looking at cakes and cookies because I didn't know how to ask properly. Eventually, I had to show a picture to the store assistant.
That's a great tip. Using pictures or translation apps can be really helpful if you're stuck.
Definitely. And it's also useful to know some basic phrases for interacting with store staff. For instance, "Excuse me, can you help me?" Or "I'm looking for..."
And let's not forget about politeness. Simple phrases like please and thank you can go a long way. Absolutely, courtesy always helps in any situation. So next time you go shopping, try using some of these tips and phrases to make your experience smoother.
Great advice, Anna. Now, let's move on to our next segment.
Segment 2. Dining out. Dining out is another situation where having the right vocabulary is crucial. From ordering food to paying the bill, knowing the right words can make the experience much smoother.
Definitely. Basic phrases like, "I'd like to order," or "Can I have the menu, please?" are very helpful. And knowing the names of common dishes and drinks can also be a big plus.
Yes, and don't forget about dietary preferences or restrictions. Words like vegetarian, vegan, allergic, and gluten-free are important to know. And if you need to make a special request, phrases like, can you make it a bit less spicy? Or, I don't want any onions, please, are very useful. Anna, do you remember that time we went to that new restaurant and had trouble understanding the menu?
Oh, yes, it was quite an adventure. We ended up asking the waiter for recommendations, and it turned out great. It's always a good idea to ask if you're unsure.
Exactly. Most waitstaff are happy to help and explain the menu. Plus, it's a great way to learn new words and phrases.
Another tip is to familiarize yourself with common dining etiquette and phrases used in restaurants. For example, knowing how to call the waiter with phrases like, "Excuse me, could we have some water, please?" Or, "Could you bring us the bill?"
Yes, and also knowing how to express satisfaction or dissatisfaction with the food. Phrases like, this is delicious, or can you take this back? It's not what I ordered, can be very helpful.
And if you're in a foreign country, it's a good idea to learn some local dining customs. It can make your dining experience more enjoyable and respectful.
Great point, Anna. Let's talk about some specific vocabulary that can come in handy. For example, understanding the difference between appetizers, main course, and dessert.
Yes, and knowing how to ask for recommendations is useful too. Phrases like, "What do you recommend?" or "What's your specialty?" can help you discover great dishes.
And don't forget about drinks. Phrases like, I'd like a glass of water, or can I see the wine list, are important too.
And when it comes to payment, knowing how to ask for the bill with phrases like, "Can I get the check, please?" is crucial. Also, understanding terms like tip or service charge can help avoid confusion.
Absolutely. Anna, have you ever had an interesting dining experience because of a language barrier?
Yes, actually. Once I was in Italy and ordered what I thought was a small appetizer. It turned out to be a huge platter meant for sharing, but it was a great way to learn and enjoy local cuisine.
That's a great story. It shows that even mistakes can lead to enjoyable experiences and learning opportunities.
Definitely. So the next time you're dining out, use these tips and phrases to enhance your experience.
Great advice, Anna. Now let's move on to our next segment. Segment 3, Everyday Conversations.
Our next segment is about everyday conversations. This is where you can really connect with people and practice your language skills.
Right. Simple greetings like, hello, how are you, and nice to meet you are great starters. And knowing how to respond is just as important.
Yes, and don't forget about small talk topics. Asking about the weather, someone's day, or their interests can keep the conversation flowing.
And phrases like, I'm sorry, excuse me, and thank you are essential for polite interactions.
Alex, what's your favorite topic for starting a conversation?
I usually like to ask about hobbies or recent experiences. It opens up a lot of interesting discussions.
That's a good strategy. And remember, listening is just as important as speaking. Pay attention to the other person and respond accordingly.
Absolutely. It's all about making a connection. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's part of the learning process.
Great point, Alex. Another useful tip is to learn how to ask for clarification. Phrases like, "Could you repeat that, please?" or "What does that mean?" can help you understand better.
Yes. And also knowing how to express your own thoughts and opinions. Phrases like, I think that, or in my opinion, can make your conversations more engaging.
And if you're in a new place, asking for recommendations can be a great way to start a conversation. For example, can you recommend a good restaurant nearby? Or, what's a must-see attraction here?
Definitely, people usually enjoy sharing their local knowledge. It's a great way to learn and make new friends.
Alex, do you remember any memorable conversations you've had while traveling?
Yes, I remember chatting with a local artist in Spain. We talked about his work, and he even gave me some tips on places to visit that weren't in the guidebooks. It was a wonderful experience.
That sounds amazing. It just goes to show how valuable everyday conversations can be.
Absolutely. So, next time you're in a conversation, try using these tips. They can help you connect better with others.
Great advice, Alex. Now, let's move on to our final segment.
Segment 4. Navigating Public Transportation. Our final segment is about navigating public transportation. Whether you're taking a bus, train, or taxi, knowing the right vocabulary can make your journey much smoother.
Yes, words like ticket, fare, nation, and schedule are very important, and knowing how to ask for directions can be a lifesaver.
Definitely. Phrases like, "Where is the nearest bus stop?" or "How do I get to the train station?" are very useful.
And if you're in a taxi, knowing how to give directions is crucial. Phrases like, take me to, or please stop here can help a lot.
Anna, do you have any tips for first-time travelers?
Yes, always have a map or a translation app handy. It can help you understand signs and directions better, and don't hesitate to ask locals for help. Most people are willing to assist if you ask politely.
Great advice. And remember, practice makes perfect. The more you use these words and phrases, the more comfortable you'll become.
Absolutely. Another tip is to familiarize yourself with the local transportation system. Knowing the names of different types of transportation like subway, tram, or ferry can be very helpful.
Yes, and also knowing how to read transportation schedules and maps. It can save you a lot of time and confusion.
And if you're traveling to a country with a different language, it's a good idea to learn some basic phrases for asking directions and understanding announcements.
Definitely. And don't forget to learn how to ask for help in emergencies. Phrases like, "I need help," or "Can you call the police?" are important to know.
Great point, Alex. Let's dive into some more specific vocabulary for public transportation. For example, knowing how to ask about ticket options with phrases like, what types of tickets do you have? Or, is there a day pass available?
Yes, and understanding terms like one-way, round trip, and transfer can be very helpful when navigating transportation systems.
And if you're in a train station, knowing how to read the departure and arrival boards is crucial. Terms like on time, delayed, platform, and track are essential.
Another important aspect is knowing how to ask for the schedule. Phrases like, "When is the next train to?" or "What time does the bus leave?" are very useful.
And if you're taking a taxi, knowing how to ask about the fare can help avoid misunderstandings. Phrases like, how much to, or is the fare fixed or metered, can be very useful.
Anna, have you ever had an interesting experience using public transportation in a foreign country?
Yes, once I was in Japan and got completely lost in the Tokyo subway system. I had to ask for help several times, but everyone was very kind and willing to assist. It was a bit stressful, but also a great learning experience.
That's a great example. It shows that even when things go wrong, you can still learn and adapt.
Absolutely. So the next time you're navigating public transportation, use these tips and phrases to make your journey smoother.
Great advice, Anna. Now let's move on to our final thoughts. Conclusion. That wraps up our episode on practical vocabulary for everyday situations. We hope you found these tips useful.
Remember, the key to mastering any language is practice and persistence. Keep using these phrases in your daily life, and you'll see improvement.
Thanks for tuning in to the English Hub podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review.
And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, feel free to reach out.
Until next time, happy learning.
Goodbye.